The ability to create objects in AutoCAD is a must, and we have seen many ways to create data in several different types of objects. But what if you didn't create the drawing? What if somebody else in your office made it? Or what if it came from an outside vendor? Knowing about the data in your drawing is essential in order for you to be able to work with it. So let's open up the blocks and tables file for this chapter. There are several different ways and methods that you can list out the properties of the data or line work in your file. One way is to use the properties palette, as we've seen in other chapters already. That's great for one object at a time, but it can be overwhelming because the amount of information the properties palette shows you is, well, everything. So there is a feature that you can use that's called Quick Properties. This feature will pop up a window that will display a very short list of properties for the object you've selected. This feature can get annoying though as you progress in AutoCAD, and if you're working with more complicated drawings, then it can really get in the way. Many users turn it off, in fact. However, it can be very useful because it allows you to see the information about your objects as you hover over them. Let's turn this feature on. Go down to the status bar here on the bottom of the screen and click on the Quick Properties button. You can also press Ctrl, Shift, and P to toggle it on and off. So as I hover over an object, you can see right here that I get a bit of information about what's going on. It tells me here that the line work that I'm working with is an arc. It has a color called by layer, and the layer setting is on lighting, and the line type is by layer. That's the pop-up. Once I select an object, this window comes up. It's called the Quick Properties. As you can see, I get basic information, the color, layer, line type, as I do when I hover over another object. But I also get more than that. I get the coordinates for the center from the X and Y, and I get the radius. So this gives you a bit more information. Now I can click here on the options and find some different things that I need, or I can close this. As you can imagine, that can get in the way. When I select more than one object, it only tells me what they have in common, like layer. The same way with the properties palette. I recommend that you try the Quick Properties out, especially while you're learning AutoCAD. It will give you information on what's going on while you're doing it. But for purposes of this training video, I've turned the feature off for a couple of reasons. It can be distracting. Plus, I don't want that window to pop up and block your view of anything. So again, to turn it off, just press Ctrl, Shift, and P at the same time, or come down here to the status bar and turn off the Quick Properties panel. A lot of the information that comes in that you can get just with the rollover tooltips like this. Those can be turned off and on by going to your options. Just type in options, go to display, and you can turn them off. All of these different things here changes things. See, I get no pop-up now. Same way with the tools or the commands. I don't get any of that information. If you're comfortable with this and you know what these tools are, or you're comfortable enough working with them where you think you'll be okay, you can turn those options off. I'm going to leave these all on though, because they help during the training session to help us know what's going on. I like this pop-up here because it tells me a bit of information about the object and I don't even have to pick it. I just kind of roll my mouse over the top of it. I also like to see something about the commands and what they are. And then I especially like to see the extra tools in the visualization when it shows you how to do things. I think you should leave these on right now while you're learning how to use AutoCAD. But if you find that they get in your way, turn them off. It's not a problem. AutoCAD will just keep going, either if those are on or if those are off. So another method to find out information about an object is the list command. So you can just type in list right up here and it will tell you where it's at. It's on the properties panel in the home tab. Remember, if you can't find a command on the ribbon, just come up to the application menu and type in your command and it will show you where it is. It's right over here. It's kind of hidden, so you have to find it. But just remember, in the ribbon on any of the panels that have this little arrow right in the middle here, It means there's more commands to it, more options for you to look at and to see. So if you can't find something, you can pull those down, or remember to type in the command in the application menu. Now, for the list command, you can either come to it here, which means a couple of steps, and just pick the list command, or you can type in list. The shortcut, or the command alias, is just li. Now, the list command is very simple. Turn it on, pick an object, press enter. All of your information is given to you here in your command line in the text window. Here's my command list. How many objects are there? Well, I've found and selected one, and it tells you about it. It gives you a lot of information. It tells you that it's an arc, what layer it's on, where it's at. It tells you it's in model space or paper space. It gives you the handle number. Now, an AutoCAD file is just a database, ones and zeros, and that's all that the computer sees it as. Every object gets a handle. It's a unique identifier. So if this was a database, this would be item number 5A52. This will be unique, and it won't be repeated. If I delete this, then that 5A52 won't show up anymore. I can use that handle to identify specific objects and files and a lot of other Lisp routines and special coding that you can do, but that's way advanced for me and what we're doing here. So we're not going to look at that, but that's there. It also gives you the basic geometry information of your object, your center point, radius, start angle, end angle, and length. Just press F2 to clear that out. Now, if I use the list command again, I can pick more than one object. In fact, I can pick every object that I want. Press enter, and it does the same thing. See, this was an arc. It's the same one. Now, the other object we picked was a block. We'll talk about blocks later on. Now, sometimes your list is going to go too far and the screen can't show all of it. So it'll pause for you so you have a chance to read everything. Once you've read everything on your screen, press enter to continue. And it will just keep doing that until you're finished. Now, you can always press the F2 button to open up your command line and see it again. Different information will be given to you about different object types. So we saw what happens when you list out a circle, or an arc in this case. But if you select a closed polygon like this one here, and we type out the list command, it will give you different information, like the coordinates of all of the vertexes or vertices on there, the perimeter length, and the area. Let me show you again. This type of information will be displayed at the beginning of the list of the different object types. So you'll need it first. Now, if you click anywhere on the screen, it will continue on, just like pressing enter. So there's a lot of information here that you can get from the list command. Not all of that is possible to get from the properties palette. If I press Control-1 at the same time, I get the properties palette. And if I select this polyline, I don't get any of that information on the vertexes. I do get area and length, of course, and the layer information, color, etc. So there are some things you can get from the list command that you can't get anywhere else. And again, if you list all that information, you can come here, press F2, scroll up, select all of this bit of information, or just any part of it, really. And you can right-click and copy it. And now you can paste that information into a Word file, a spreadsheet, an email, whatever you need. If we needed to give coordinates to a surveyor for the wall or a contractor or something, we could just select the object, use the list command, and then copy and paste all of this information out into a format that the contractor, whoever it is, that can use. So those are a few ways to get out information from your drawing file into the real world.